Okay. Okay. Sit up tall, close your eyes, and we're going to do that breath of fire, panting like a dog. Equal inhalation, equal exhalation, pumping with your navel stinger. Now close your mouth in and out of your nose. Take a deep breath in and just relax. Okay. So in the United States, the presidential election is like 1 week from tomorrow, and I guess we already have the mail-in ballots. A lot of us.
I sent
What do
mine
you
in 2 weeks
feel?
ago.
What do you? So that's where you still vote. That's my first
Yeah,
question.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You do
Definitely,
your mail,
definitely.
you do your mail-in ballots. We don't
Yeah,
have to talk about who you voted for, but I want to ask you: do
yeah.
you think it's important? Do you think the power to vote, the right to vote, is important, or is this kind of like not that important?
I mean, I guess you could say. I mean, the way I look at it is I mean, even if you take a system like the American system where we have electoral college, which in its own right it is what I'm saying, it's a functional thing and it's a good thing, because if you have a huge mass of people in only one part of the country, what I'm saying, they don't really represent all of the country, what I'm saying. So, you know, I mean, I kind of feel that, what I'm saying, and that's a logical thing, and I think the thing is that many people feel like their votes don't matter, what I'm saying, and maybe I would say 20, 30, 45, 30, 35 years ago, it probably didn't. But in the last 3, 4 elections, last three in particular, it's really come down to the last few votes. You know what I'm saying? So whether saying whether someone's thought about it being rigged, or saying, or there's some type of discrepancy going on, but it's been very close the last 3 elections, and then even in 2000 with the Bush Gore election, so yeah, I think that every vote does count, and I just think that the main reason why probably because I served, saying, in the military, and I think that the presidency represents and is represented by the troops, in a certain sense, and I felt that it was my duty, saying, to vote. And also I kind of like felt like it was really suck. Like, what if you found out like your candidate lost like by one vote and you're like, damn, I didn't even vote. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not gonna really happen, but it was damn close in a lot of places last cycle, So I mean, I
Hmm.
think that, it's not obligatory, but it is a right, and we should all feel that it's a duty wherever you are, and otherwise, like most people say, if you don't vote, shut up, and that's the way I kind of feel, in a sense, what I'm saying, whether
I,
the weight
I
of
like
it, you know.
I like that you say that it's our duty. You think people don't? I mean, apparently a lot of people don't see it like that because it's a big percentage of people that don't vote, even for the presidential election.
Yeah.
But do you really think? I mean, do you think, or I know you believe it's a duty, but do you really think it's a duty for people? That's I guess the
Well,
question.
I think that, well, it's kind of like the thing where, when everyone like, let's go to, say, even when you think about it from, from a social point of view, you in a group of 10 people, and everybody's like, okay, where are we gonna go out this weekend? Saying, everybody says, yeah, I want to go out here, I want to go here, I want to go here, and then you all, come to a consensus on where to go out. Saying, and that one cat that didn't really like, whatever, it's cool with me, whatever y'all want to do, and then when you go out to that place, he's like the first person, or she's the first person, start complaining, like, bro, why did you say something? You know what I'm saying? And that, and that happens at a macro level, saying, from presidential, or even senator or gubernatorial point of view, what I'm saying? When you're talking about these governor races, senator races, or Congress races, a lot of people, they get caught up with, like, I'm not going to vote because that's not really so important, but the first people to complain, and I think that that's the problem. I just think that it's kind of like, when we think about rich people, like, this is a really, really, really long stretch as far as this analogy goes, but like how poor people, saying, they spend all their money to try to be rich. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people do say that, being poor is the most expensive lifestyle to live, Whereas richer people, they realize the value of money, And I think that a lot of people who are in power and the people who are affected by those who are in power are those who actually vote, whether it's, saying, whether it's, in some kind of, rural area in Kentucky, or, saying in the suburbs of California, or in the, the metropolitan area of New York. I think that each vote does have its weight, it does have its effect, whether it sways things one way or the other way, or even sway things to deflect things and kind of retract from one side or the other side, So, I mean, there's always been, saying for example, we talk about the presidential races, there's always been that third party candidate in most states, not always available in all states, but available in some states, where they might steal off, a couple votes from one of the parties, saying one of the candidates, and that means that your vote is that much more important, Again, like I said, I think that so many people fought for that right. It's kind of like, it's becoming upon us, saying to try to, take that responsibility to vote indifferently to who you vote for, but just making your voice be heard in some way, what I'm saying? And like I said, in the end, you can always say, and I hate this. I hate they fucking up. You know what I'm saying? Like Dave Chappelle said in one episode when he was on Roots, you know what I'm saying? He's like, and Massa fucking up. But you know what I'm saying? But in this case, we actually choose who Massa is, you know what I'm saying? And
What?
if we, you know what I'm saying, if we, you know what I'm saying, and if you don't even choose, even if you're, you know what I'm saying, the person you choose don't win, you know what I'm saying, doesn't win. But even if you don't choose, that makes you even more, you know what I'm saying, more in the category of, shut the hell up. You didn't do your part, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to be part of the pie, you have to participate in some way, So we
Yeah,
want people to do things for us, so that we don't want to do anything to have those people in place, you know what I'm saying? And I think that if we had, like you said before, if we had bigger and larger voter turnouts, I think people would, like, and we're seeing this right now in the current presidential U.S. current or presidential debate, where a lot of focus is being put on really, really particular specific groups, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's a lot of pandering going on, but I mean, I can see, the pandering kind of, it's like so superficial to me, but in a sense, it does work, because it's kind of saying like, yo, bro, you want my vote? Work for that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to have 30% turnouts, you know what I'm saying? We're like, okay, we're just going to go for, the 90% who always vote, you know what I'm saying? We don't even care about the other 70%, because they're not going to vote anyway, So, and I think that's the biggest thing, you know what I'm saying? So if you come out in droves, and a lot of people, say what they really feel, I think that it's even more representative of what, saying what you are as a country, what you are as a nation, and what you are as a population.
yeah. Well, I want to ask you this. Kind of going back on that duty theme. Why do you think a lot of people don't see it as a duty, or to vote? Because it's probably really low. Even at the presidential, it's probably like 60% voter turnout, and they
Not even
make it.
that. I think it was last time. I think last time it was maybe 50 or 55%. Yeah, but yeah, it's usually very, very low.
Yeah,
So
I mean, still, I
I don't
mean,
know the exact
and that's
number.
the presidential. That's the highest of the high. So the rest of
Exactly,
them is
exactly,
probably under 50%. A lot of those elections.
exactly,
Why do you
exactly.
think so many people just don't turn out? I mean, you don't even have to go to the voting booth now. You can just mail it in now, and it only
And
takes.
in some cases, you can even email it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know
Or
if
you can
you
do it
can email
online. You
it.
can do it online. If you're expatriate, you can even do it online. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to do that
Um,
because in the past couple of times I voted via mail, via post. So that was, I said, okay, that's what I'm used to. And that's cool. But well, the thing is that I would have to say is that it is easier, and I think that's the case. Saying a lot of I would say in this particular case. Um, um, and I think the dynamic of it is very important. For example, I think that a lot of times, I'm not gonna say it's mostly the non voters, the eligible non voters are usually of a particular category. A lot of times they're of our descent. Or they're females. There are people who feel disenfranchised. Saying misrepresentative or not representative at all. And so that's when they say, you know what, why didn't I do it? But I think this is systematic because we never, it was being so long that, for example, women or African Americans, non-white males, it was so long that we didn't have the opportunity to vote. So it's like, okay, we lived, without voting, so we could continue living without voting even today. You know what I'm saying? And that works to a certain extent. But when all the rest of the situation, all the rest of the dynamics have changed, then you have to change also to that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the thing. So a lot of people who don't turn out are in those demographics. The people who never really turned out to begin with, because they never, since the beginning, they never really had that opportunity.
Mhm.
And or they never had that right to vote. So I think they say, well, I felt disenfranchised before, I didn't vote. So, and my grandparents, my great grandparents fought to vote. They voted, and I still feel disenfranchised. They felt disenfranchised. So why not? Why do I need a vote? You know what I'm saying? What's so important about my vote? And I think that's what happens. And as a result, a lot of these other groups say, okay, well, there's that small pool of people, actually not a small pool, it's actually quite a large pool, more than half of the possible pool, eligible pool, are still out there to be got. You know what I'm saying? So they pander to them. You know what I'm saying? They say all these big promises, and most of them which they know that they're not going to uphold. But it's something to try to grab onto, because it's something that they can fight for. You know what I'm saying? So they're they kind of shift away from their constituents, because they know that they have those already. You know what I'm saying? They try to pander to those who that they're trying to take out of that pool of eligible non-voters. So, and that's what happens a lot of times. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't vote. But I think that's also another reason why last cycle more people voted than the cycle before, and vice versa, and the 2000 and the 19 or 2016 vote, more people turned out than they had in 2012. So, and I think that's important to take into consideration.
Yeah. Okay. So, but now, why do you know? I guess you kind of touched on it, like why, because like why blacks don't like historically have not been voting, but you said that they felt disenfranchised for so long they kind of like don't have I don't give a f attitude about it anymore. So why vote? But what
Yeah.
can what do you think can be done to help maybe start changing that attitude in a lot of these communities? Because it's really the black community where voters turnout is very low. Hmm.
Yeah, it is very low. But I mean, to be honest with you, I hate to sound, saying very, how can I say, pessimistic about the situation. But I think there is very little to do. I think that what's being done so far, saying the last, at least last last 3 or 4 cycles, by trying to get more of these eligible non or these eligible non-voters to the booths. I think it's been this pandering to them, and sometimes some politicians even they make concessions, they do compromises. So they say, yeah, remember last time I told your friends, what I'm saying, I told your friends that I would do this, and I did this. I'm a friend of the blacks, I'm a friend of the Hispanics, I'm a friend of the Asians. So vote for me. What I'm saying, you didn't vote last time, vote for me this time. And
Mhm.
slowly, it's a process. And I hate to say that, but it's something that we've been trained to do. I think this is one of those things that, which is sad, but it's also it could be a good thing. Is the fact that I think I look at the Gen Zers,
Mhm.
and I think that's the key for multiple reasons. I think for one, because they're the future. You know, we can complain about the Gen Zers and not wanting to work, things like that. Now, I think they're just really misunderstood, like our generation was with prior generations. But the one thing that they want everything done immediately. So when they don't see that, they protest, or they, whether it's a sit-in protest, or they march capitals, they march city squares, saying things like that. And I think that when politicians start to realize that those are the people that they need to pander to, but pandering to them means that they have to prove results. Saying they have to show results. I think that sooner or later, I think that then things will start to make to turn the needle into the positive. But it's a slow process. I can't say,
Mhm.
yo, why y'all black people ain't voting? Why y'all Mexicans ain't voting? Why your Hispanics ain't voting? Why women aren't voting? We can't, you can't, like I said, at the same time, like you can't force a person to vote for one person or another. You can't force a person to vote. You know what I'm saying? A right
Mhm.
is something that, saying that you accept. What I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's not something that you have to do. Like I said, I look at it as a duty, but a lot of people might look at, it is a right in the end. You know what I'm saying? Any way we look at it, any way we sugarcoat it, it is a right. And rights you can refuse your rights. You know what I'm saying? You have a right to remain silent when they arrest you, but if you want to talk, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
so you have a right to vote, but if you don't want to vote, that's on you. But at the
Okay.
same time, when you're arrested and you say something that's incriminating, that's on you. If you don't vote and you realize that the system ain't how you want it, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? There's no guarantee that that person that you're putting, into office is going to represent you the way he or she promised to. But you put them there because it means that for you, you're holding them responsible for that thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. And I think that's what I was saying before. That's one of the things I like about the Generation Z, because they're out there and they're like, yo, you promised me this, I want this. If you don't want this, I'm not doing anything. I'm not moving. You know what I'm saying? I'm staying here. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of that urgency that I want this now. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it does put the fire under some of these politicians' asses, and that's and we are seeing this now because we have one of the youngest Senate and Congresses that we've ever had ever. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You got congressmen and senators that are under 35, 40 years old, you know,
Mhm.
congressmen who are under 30 years old, and that's
Mhm.
crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's just strange that we had, two presidential candidates up to 4 months ago. We had two presidential candidates pushing 100, you know what I'm saying? But apart from that, we have, we have a really young government system, so and I think that says a lot, you know what I'm saying? Because somebody's talking to somebody in particular to convince young people to be put or younger people to be put into these political situations, these legislative positions, So that's the thing I think, And I'm not talking about only at the Senate and the Congress, but even at the state level, you know what I'm saying? You got a lot of cities or a lot of states with some of the youngest DAs, with some of the youngest governors, you know what I'm saying, in history, you know what I'm saying? So this is constantly, coming about. So this means that politics in America is getting younger.
Mhm.
That means that there's space to be won. There's space also to grow. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Or we can always retrocede. That's another problem. Devolving. But like I said, I just hope that things get better where everybody has their voice heard. You know what I'm saying? Because especially when you have a lot of rhetoric. You know what I'm saying, of voter suppression. If you vote, is my vote going to count? Not because it's not going to count, to the big number, but because I risk my vote being thrown out because somebody said, "Oh, that wasn't legal." You know what I'm saying? That what your vote, your vote was illegitimate. I hope it doesn't get to that. You know what I'm saying? I hope we get the chance that most of us get a chance to vote, have our voices heard before we get to that stage, and then after that, I think that's, like I said, slowly but surely. I mean, we even have less. Probably we had. I would probably say when blacks were able to vote, when women were able to vote, yeah, they had huge voter turnouts. That first one or two cycles, they didn't realize, yeah, they're not working for us because they didn't press the government as much. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
like we said, 1980s, 90s, early 2000s, this has been a downwards trend. You know what I'm saying? Like less and
Mhm.
less people have been voting because they feel disenfranchised. And that's the thing.
Mhm.
That's the thing. Like we said before, it just so happens to happen, or not just so happens to happen, but unfortunately it happens in some particular demographics, ours in particular,
What about so the what about this? Do you think the electoral college makes people a little bit disinterested in voting? Like especially for places where it's like for instance, California is definitely a Democratic state, so it's no question they're gonna that Kamala win all electoral votes for California, but it makes a lot of people, or a lot of people I talk to personally, say like, "Oh, it doesn't matter if we vote or not because it doesn't count anyway." Do you think that electoral college leads to a lot of that type of it helps lead into that, to creating that type of attitude?
Yes and no, but I think that mostly that ideal is just an excuse because
Hmm.
you don't want to spend an hour and a half to vote. In my opinion, that's the thing. Saying you'll wait in line. Saying you'll camp out in front of saying Foot Locker on the Wednesday before, on the Thursday morning of Thanksgiving. Saying to buy the new Jordans. Saying, or buy a new Xbox, but you won't stand in line for an hour and a half to see the direction and trajectory that your country is going to probably go in the next 4 years, whether they keep their promises or not. But you know by if you show out and if you come out in numbers, everyone's going to know. It's like you said before. I know if I'm a politician, if I'm a Republican, I'm not gonna campaign in California. It should be in a way that a Republican will campaign in California because, like we said, we don't have so many people turn out. Like you said, it might be overall a huge percentage of I don't know African Americans who don't vote, but overall it depends. Like you said before, depending on the state. If you're in New York, most people say Democrats are going to win. They got double digit leads there. In the polls. California the same, ditto. So if I'm a Republican in one of those states, why am I gonna vote? If I'm a Democrat, saying in Nebraska, why am I gonna try to vote? Because I know that even if my
Do you think
candidate gets the majority vote, the popular vote, they're not gonna get the electoral vote because everybody has to vote. If everyone votes, then you can't say then it doesn't become that. Obviously, there's the situation of gerrymandering where they've made particular counties, more populous to one district or another district or particularly Republican or Democratic group. But overall, there's still not enough people voting. So, these are things that even if we want to complain about that system, if not everybody's speaking up about it, if only 1/3 of the population is speaking up about it, that means that the other 2/3 have to shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Right.
well,
And that's the thing.
what about this? Do you think that they should make it be like you can't win just the electoral college. You also have to win the popular vote too. And then if it's a split, if one candidate wins the popular vote and one candidate wins the electoral vote, then there's a runoff election. How do you think that sound?
I think runoffs can be a possibility. But runoffs can be a possibility when you have a multi or a pluri-party system. Because if you have a runoff with just two candidates, if you have a runoff, we're going to have a runoff just as those same two candidates. You know what I'm saying? Plus the 1,000, 2,000 votes that third party candidate got. I think that the thing is, obviously, like I said, the electoral college is strange. It's really strange, but it works. So because of the fact that you have places like Wyoming, which is the lowest populous or state in America, but it's as big as 35 of the states in America. You know what I'm saying? And those 500,000 people shouldn't have the same amount of each of those 500,000 people shouldn't have the same amount of weight as one person in New York. I'm not saying that one vote should matter more than the other, but one vote is more influential than the other. And that's the thing that we have to consider about when we think about the electoral college. I think that was the ideal of the forefathers before. And it's really ingenious. You know what I'm saying? If you got 5 cats that only stay, in the living room, and you got other, you got like another 20 cats that, they move around the house, the 5 cats in the living room, they're saying what goes on in all of the house is really, really microscopic compared to the, the whole macrocosm of things, So, I mean, runoffs, like I said, I actually like runoffs because they do a lot of runoffs in Europe and other democratic systems. But that's when you have a multi-party system, We just have two. We have two. What are you gonna do? You're gonna have those same two vote for it. Yeah.
Run it back.
Yeah, it's like run that back, yo. Double or nothing, son. No, I mean, if you only got two, saying you can't, you can't do a really runoff. I think it's possible because you're gonna get those extra 500 or 5,000, 6,000, 60,000 in some places of that third party candidate, but no more than that. You know what I'm saying? You might get those 7,000 people who voted for Kanye in Nevada in 2020, but that's it though. You know what I'm saying? That's all you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? That's the maximum you can get. And unless something happens between one election and a runoff, which usually it won't, because if one of the parties or the other had something to push on the others, they would have done that, saying during the normal campaign.
Well, could it be another type of tiebreaker or something like that? If one, like I want it to be, what I'm trying to say, we need to put weight on winning the overall popular vote too. Like it shouldn't be completely all like if you win electoral vote, you become president. And I know it's rare that a president doesn't win both.
I mean, it's only really happened like 3 times in the last 30 years, and both of them were Trump and with George Bush in 2000, But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but probably could do. I would have liked to see if if Biden and Trump had got into this situation in 2024. I would like to see them go into the octagon and fight it out to the death. You know what
That's
I'm
what
saying?
I'm talking about.
Last motherfucker standing, the last dude standing because the president.
You don't want to see Kamala Harris in the octagon or no?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be kind of scary though. You know what I'm saying? Like what happened to Trump. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It might be kind of scary what happened to her too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I don't want to
But
think that. But like I
talking
said,
about, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I think
Talking about
yeah.
a
But
big
like you just said,
octagon fan. Did you watch Joe Rogan and Donald Trump?
no, I didn't actually. That's one of the ones I didn't watch the recently. I haven't had time
Yeah,
to watch it.
yeah.
And like I said, a lot of the Trump town halls or rallies, and just like with the Kamala rallies and interviews, I've been watching them in its full forms without saying listening to the bias of other news stations, because sometimes this other news stations, if it's left leaning or right leaning, they're gonna cut, snip, saying show you what they want, the perspective they want to show to see, saying to make that person look better, saying. So I try to watch them in full, and I haven't had a chance to look at the Joe Rogan one, and I've kind of avoided all of the little, the CNN commentaries, because I like that was like an hour and a half
Mhm.
podcast, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And they only show like 10 minute video. I'm like, okay, you really cherry picking here for sure. You know what I'm saying? Same thing when you see like Fox um
Mhm.
or media news, their recounts of what happened with a Kamala debate or interview or something like that. They show like a 2 minute video, and like she gave like a 40 minute speech. I'm like, whoa, you're not showing the whole 38 minutes. You're showing what you want to show. You know what I'm saying? You're really
Like
nitpicking
sound
it.
bites.
Is
Mhm.
that you really nitpicking it and cherry picking here? So yeah, I try to watch. Like I said, because try to be as informed as possible. Try to stay as unbiased as possible. And that's one of the. I think for me that's important. A lot of people might not. They might not feel that way. They might not feel like saying, because it is work when you want to do that. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think about like all the other stuff? Like we also have like the cherry picking, but also like a lot of fake news going around with AI redoing voices and stuff like that. How do you feel that's affecting the project the presidential race or the election?
I don't know. I think that potentially it could be very, very, very influential, but in this particular race, there's no need for that. Uh, both candidates are putting it out on there. They're putting their hearts on their sleeves. Saying what they want to say and not really holding back about how they feel about some things. So it's not really necessary to try to paint one candidate paint the other candidate, in a dark light, what I'm saying, or in a inadequate or ineligible or how can I say, yes, ineligible light, because they're both doing it and they're not holding back at all. You know what I'm saying? So there's no need for AI. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about how harsh this presidential election has gone compared to other ones. Whereas other ones, you're like, yeah, you always say the same. Or Reagan, here you go again. That's it. And that was all he said as far as what I'm saying. Or
Mhm.
saying, even in the town hall with John McCain, like, yeah, Obama, he's a Muslim and he's not even born in this country. Like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I don't like the guy. We disagree on everything, but that's not true. He's a good man. You know what I'm saying? Or with Romney and Obama. They would, you shoot down people's theories and and projects and their plans and everything. But it was like the insults were just like really not there at all. Like, I'm saying, that's all it is here now. I'm saying, and I don't know. And I think I think it is kind of like it's discouraging. What I'm saying, from both parts. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's discouraging from both parts. Even if I see what some of the things that the Democrats might say, but for you to talk about it so much, I just think it is quite. What I'm saying, it's disconcerting if you're spending more time talking about how stupid or how what I'm saying, how illegit your adversary is, saying very little about your policies, your plans, saying that makes me, saying I don't want, if I'm listening to you, I want to hear you tell me about your plans, your policies without me having to research your plans and policies. You know what I'm
Do
saying? I don't want to
you think that's
talk
just
about
the
point.
you think that's just the times we live in, or you think that's the Trump factor that's
No,
making
no, I
this?
think it's both. I think it's both. I think it's both. I think it's the time we live in. And I think that all presidential campaigns, I think when they do go sour, when they do start to go into insults, then it's like a tit for tat thing. You know what I'm saying? You might jab at me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Then J. Cole might come out and drop a 7-minute diss. You know what I'm saying? You're like, no, bro, I don't like. No, I'm sorry about that, bro. I'm sorry about that, bro. Y'all my bros. And then Kendrick drop his. You know what I'm saying? Like he drop a little hook. You know what I'm saying? Drake drops. You know what I'm saying? A 1-2 combo, and then it just goes. It becomes a domino effect. I think. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If you want to use that analogy of the 2024 rap debate,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's what happens. But it is effective that. But I think that we do live in a time also where what was it in the Kanye song?
Mm.
He said, "That's bananas." He said, "What did he say?" He said, "No, he didn't say it was bananas." He's like, "What does that even mean?" Like, I don't know, but it's exotic.
It's
I think it was all the niggas
provocative.
in Paris. Provocative, yeah. He's like,
It's provocative.
what was it?
It doesn't
But
make any
but he said
sense.
something important. That's bananas or something. Like that doesn't make sense. He's like, yeah, but it's provocative. You know what I'm saying? That niggas in Paris. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what it is. We live in an age of where that those dynamics being dynamic does attract more people. You know what I'm saying? It attract more listeners, more viewers. You know what I'm saying? More clicks, more likes, more retweets, or re-X's. I don't know what the fuck you call them now. However, right? And that's the thing. I think that's what happens today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it for today. I love your take on the presidential election and the election in general, and hopefully everyone goes out there and vote. And
Yes,
what
sir.
about Italy? You guys don't have an election now, right? You already had your
No, no, at
election.
the moment, no. At the moment, no. At the moment, no. I
Okay.
think the next one is in a couple years, maybe for the prime minister.
You have
Yeah.
dual citizenship, right?
No, no, no,
Okay, so you
no,
only
no.
vote
Yeah,
for
only
America.
one in America. Yeah. Only in
Okay.
America. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
hopefully everyone turns out for the election, and hopefully everyone have a nice day.